23rd of April 25, it's Wednesday, and happy St George's Day to the English. And I'm just looking here, it's good news anyway, I would say, because in a poll by More in Common, Labour are in third place, although joint second you could say, and Reform are top. I think everyone should be voting Reform for one issue, even though they're not very good in that issue. They're seen as, quote, the baddies on it. So you've got to vote for them as an Overton window shift, as a protest party shift. They've got a whole bunch of policies which I'm not interested in, but just a protest vote. As I've said many times, I don't believe in the party hamper system, where you vote for a party and they have their hamper. They might not even tell you the truth before the election. They might not tell you what they're going to do. They might do the opposite. I believe that we should be like Switzerland, where we have direct democracy as much as possible, quarterly referendums, petition referendums, referendums on bills, referendums on single issues, referendums all the time. I'm not sure how the party would play a role in that, but yeah, so I'm just making use of the system. We've got to vote reform on one issue, really. It's okay to say Britain's going to become a utopia, you can become Prime Minister, you won't get arrested, you won't have your bank account closed. But if you feel, hang on a minute, we don't know if this is going to end up with chaos, anarchy, if you feel that way, you need to vote reform at the moment. And to ladies, I would say, think about women's rights and LGBTQT+. Do you think they're safe on the trajectory we're going? Or if not, I think you need to vote reform, basically, as a protest vote, Overton window shift on the issue. But so this is good news anyway, because it's the first time. No, it's not the first time Reform have been in the lead, because Reform have been in the lead for about 2 months in Find Out Now poll, which at the moment I think survey people scoff at, but I think they've probably got it more right, more correct than the other ones. They're an outlier, but I think they've got it more correct. Apparently they do something like they don't take Don No's last vote, who they voted for the last election, something like that. And I wouldn't take that in this case anyway, because this is so different, because it's always been Tories and Labour, a two-horse race. Now it's three-horse, and the new horse is the one that's mostly going in front now. So yeah, you've got so this is major news, and there was just a few other stories going about just now that I thought interesting, and Stats for Left is doing an excellent job of bringing us the polls, as usual. Yeah, apparently Labour has revealed it will begin publishing league tables of migrant crime, but apparently it's only non-Brits who are awaiting deportation, so that's not much use at all. I mean, I'm grateful for it, but that's just a crumb, really. Because really we need to see what is the trend. I mean, why don't we understand this trend? Is this not how these sort of things happen that are big in the news at the moment? Is this not how this came about in the first place? I mean, are we changing lots of laws because of new things? Are we putting bollards around about Westminster? Is it one threat, or is it just a general threat overall? Really they don't want us to understand, and it doesn't make sense in terms of leadership. Never mind who you're leading, Labour or Tory or what. You want to understand your country, and I don't think they do actually, really, especially Labour. I thought this was an interesting poll. I just saw this one. Labour is third with disabled Brits, because I did say this a week or two ago. He's probably lost the disabled vote, because the thing he's done with welfare would have made Ian Duncan Smith blush, basically. Ian Duncan Smith was probably applauding the Bravo, and Nigel Farage has already said, we'll see if he gets the bill through. And to me, I take that as code as he likes what he's doing. So he's getting Nigel Farage's blessing, Keir Starmer, he's probably getting Ian Duncan Smith's blessing. And this is the outcome. The disabled people, he's dropped 16% to 20%. And now, ironically, Tories are just ahead. And again, Reform now are coming up. They're they've gained 1 point. Lib Dems up 5. The Greens up 4. But I don't understand if people are truly into socialism, Jeremy Corbyn and that, they should be voting Green decades ago. They just don't seem to, I don't know, get a message. I mean, I'm voting in one issue, so I'm not even interested in the Greens. The Greens are probably the worst for that issue. But I just can't understand why all these Labour people don't vote Green, you know, if they're still wanting to vote Labour. Because Labour aren't very Labour at all. Yeah, we're looking, we've got the council elections coming up tomorrow. So, I'm not sure who's to blame for the Birmingham bin strikes. My impression is it's probably either the union or the council, because they've done a workers' equal rights thing, gave a lot of money to the women and got themselves in a ton of debt. So I don't know who to blame for that. I've not been following closely enough. Probably if you follow the mainstream media, you won't know either, in my opinion. Because a lot of these things are pretty straightforward actually once you understand. But the mainstream media like to make them confusing. Yeah, so just looking at this poll, that's a disabled one. Looking at this reform poll from More in Common. Yeah, to me personally, I think Labour are finished. I don't know how anyone's finished. And if you don't think that can happen, it happened to Labour in Israel, although they weren't very left wing. I don't think they were very about one issue, just a bit softer than the current leader, you know, only slightly. They were only more cared about appearances, really. Yeah, but they've totally gone. There's no left in Israel now. So I think the same's going to happen here, or the left is going to be the Greens and the Lib Dems. So Labour's still holding on there at 23%. I don't know how. So Reform are ahead at 25. So margin of error, those three, you could swap places with them all. But that's the sort of mood I'm getting. Well, I like to think. And Stats for Lefties kindly tries to estimate the seats, because that's all that matters. I mean, Keir Starmer got less votes than Jeremy Corbyn in 2019, but he got 2/3 of the MPs. And from what he's telling the voters is, I've got a huge mandate. Obviously, the voters voted for him huge. I mean, he got 33%. I think Jeremy Corbyn may have got 34% at last election. So, yeah, he's actually got no mandate at all. So I'm not sure that this Labour government can survive 5 years, because I think Keir thinks he'll do bad stuff just now, and then when he gets close, he'll do good stuff, and then the Labour people will come back. But they're not going to come back this time. They're going to go to reform this time. So, yeah, so that's interesting. And there's a seats. They're saying that Reform will have 201 seats, Tories 157, and Labour 129. So that's even worse than Jeremy Corbyn. I think he had 190 at the 2019 election. Lib Dems 76. They're only up 4. I mean, I don't know why anyone's voting for them really. SNP 44. They'll be up 35, but they were up at 52 a couple of years back or whatever. Greens 6. Plaid Cymru 4, up from 0. Yeah, and what about independence? That's the big thing they quote. Independence, new types of independence, basically, who might have a specific vote demographic. Yeah, and here's yougov, and Reform lead with yougov, so this is a big deal, because everyone respects yougov, even though I think they get them wrong in the last 2 elections. They've always held back about Reform being ahead, but now they've got Reform ahead, 25%, Labour 23, Tories 20, so they're down outside the margin of error there probably. Lib Dems 16, Greens 10. So that's fantastic news in my opinion, because you should only be voting for you should be using the general election as a referendum on one issue, basically. Even though the Reform Party are rubbish on it, they're seen as the ones you're not meant to vote on it. Stats for Lefties saying that Neil Coyle would lose his seat to the Lib Dems, according to this poll. I can't see why Labour would have anybody recently. I think they'll get totally cleared out. But like I say, Keir thinks he's got 4 years, but I don't think he has actually, because they've not got a mandate, really. So that's all the news for that. And the other big news is from Germany, and that's that the AfD are ahead for the first time ever in a poll, I think, anyway. So Reform just started leading about 2 or 3 months ago in British polls, and now the AfD are leading in German polls. For some reason, Germans have like 2 polls a day. I don't know why. Here they're joint with CDU, and I think if they matched up with someone, CSU, so there are 2 parties now. Sweden, I don't know why Swedes aren't voting. Swedish Democrats are at 19%. They're still voting for this Socialist Party, 37%. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. Spain, where's Vox? 15%, that's still not good enough. They're still blinkered. The good people of Spain. Still in denial, basically. Germany, today's Forza poll shows the far-right AfD at 26%, a record high. The Forza poll shows AfD ahead of all other parties, as well as the centre-right CDU, CSU alliance. So this is a new alliance, I think, because it's usually the CDU on its own. So they've had to couple together, but the AfD are still ahead of them. And here it is, the big poll. AfD, I suppose Forster's one of the old respected pollsters, even though they probably get a couple of elections wrong recently. AfD 26%, CDU 25%, so margin of error still in there. SPD down at 15%, Greens 11%. BSW is another one to look out for, 4%, because they're actually a sort of socialist who have got quite a strong opinion on one issue. So if you added them together, AfD and BSW, it'd be 30%, but on that issue. So that's pretty good. I just wanted to show that these 2 big stories, basically. I think the natives of these countries are still far too much in denial and making a mess of it. All of them are going to be hysterical at some point, I think. And there's what somebody's saying, if they had AfD, it'd be 56% they would have, but they're not going to do that, the CDU. Well, that's it really. So, personally, I think if you care about women's rights and LGBTQT+, I think you should be voting Reform, AfD, Vox, things like that, parties like that in a moment. I think the traditional parties are very confused and so that's all I've got to say about that really. I don't know who's the party in Denmark. I mean, the Socialist Party went very strict on this issue. I don't know if it was under Stephen Kinnock's wife or just the one after her, but that sort of saved them from being wiped out. Or it's probably the V party we should be looking for there, I don't know. 10%. Austria, yeah, they've been going through, but most of Europe still seems to be in denial about this issue. Personally, I think if you care about women's rights and that, it makes common sense. And also to try and keep the countries desirable as they were to people who have moved to the countries, because at some point it might get so bad in Britain that people who don't seem to want to live in their homelands are going to think, oh, I'm not going there, it's a total chaos. That's not the way we're presented. It's presented that it's going to be a utopia. So, okay, that's all this news for just now. Bye-bye.